Hey, everybody, welcome to the Economics of, where we explore the economics of all sorts of things, products, services, strategies, anything that can be used to turn a profit or a passion. We try to give you enough information to answer a few simple questions. How does it work? Is it something that you might find useful? How can you get more information if you are interested? Today, we're going to be discussing the economics of Associative Remote Viewing, or ARV. This is a practice for predicting outcomes of all sorts of events like sports, investing, or the lottery. I've been using this method for a while. If that sounds interesting to you, then please stick around and we'll dive in. So just a little background about this topic and how I learned about it. I was listening to a YouTube video of a radio show that I really enjoy. The show is Coast to Coast AM. It's a very old radio show about all sorts of topics people might find strange or maybe a little unbelievable. The host was interviewing a lady that was talking about this concept called associative remote viewing, or ARV, and he was quizzing her all about it. She seemed very passionate. And what caught my interest was she wrote this book with a partner. So this is the book. So you can see that I've read a lot of the book. You can see these tabs. This is how I like to read. This book is very large, over 400 pages. I'm not sure exactly how many pages. But she wrote this book, I believe, during her PhD process, writing her dissertation, to my memory. And the challenge was that she's devoted a good portion of her professional academic life, as well as her regular life, to this concept of associative remote viewing as a legitimate prediction methodology. And the standard challenge that she, I guess you could say, got frustrated hearing was, well, if it works, why don't you go win the lottery, or why don't you bet on a sports game? They're basically, the challenges to this process was, if it really works, why aren't people using it to make money? And she had vast experience in this. I guess I'll tell you her name. Her name is Deborah Lynn Katz. I will link to this book in the video description. So don't worry about that if you didn't see it in the on the screen very well. But she responded to some of those challenges by gathering information from experiments and other groups that have done exactly that. Use this process or similar processes to make predictions where they have actually profited. So some of the most common areas where they might do this is for sports wagering, lottery predictions, and there's a whole range of different strategies just for investments in this book that people have had success with. So of course, I don't have any way to prove that anything in this book actually did happen, but the price, at least when I bought it, was $35. And I thought, if nothing else, this will be fun to try and to learn about. So I bought the book and I started learning, and quickly realized that you can do this process by yourself, but it works significantly better, according to the research, if you have a group of people that are doing it together. There's multiple different roles that need to be fulfilled, as well as some decent research that says that as we get into this process, certain roles benefit from not receiving information that may bias them. So you, in a way, you have certain people participating that really are not going to be able to do some of the core responsibilities, like the remote viewing. So we'll get into that, but that's how I got introduced to it. And So next we will jump into how the process works, the basic mechanics of it, and then we'll move on to actually watching me set up an event and ready to execute. So one thing I will note is that this is by nature a multi-day process, because you can't really expect a large group of people or any group of people to receive a task and immediately be able to turn it around. So I like to select events that are several days in the future. And so today is actually Wednesday, and the event I'm planning on selecting is an US NFL football game. And so those occur on Sundays typically. So I'm trying to give my group a few days advance in order to collect their responses. Okay, we're going to dive into the mechanics of how the ARV process works. So the first thing we're going to do, and I learned this in the book, is go through the steps of how an ARV session operates. So I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to have some reference material here, and it'll just be easier for you guys to see it if I share it. So these are the ARV steps. This comprises one ARV session where you're trying to make a prediction on a single event. So you can do this as many times as you want. Step number one, you have to select an event. The event must have two and only two outcomes in order to use the process I'm going to discuss. The book has other processes, other variations on this, some with varying success, but you'll see as I go, this process is kind of the easiest to administer with a group. And so far we've had decent outcomes with it. So after the event's selected, the two photos, a pair of photos needs to be selected to represent each possible outcome of that event. The photos need to be unlike. It's important that the photos are enough unlike that when a person tries to visualize them later, that they don't get confused. After you have the event selected and the photos selected, the viewers, the people actually attempting to see these photos of the photo of the winning outcome, they conduct a session where their goal is to sketch or draw what that photo associated with the winning outcome looks like. Then the next step, a judge, after receiving all of these sketches, compares the sketches to the previously selected photos and tries to decide if there's any correspondence between the sketches and the photos. If there is a correspondence, the next step is to determine if that correspondence is with a single outcome. So if you have a group, and this has happened to our group several times, some of the viewers, they have correspondence with outcome A and or one, however you want to decide which is the first outcome. And some of the viewers have correspondence with the other outcome. Well, the judge is responsible for deciding if the sketches have any correspondence with any of the photos, and then deciding if those correspondences agree within the group about which outcome. So then the next step would be a wager is placed on the event that was selected in the first step, and then that event occurs. In our case, it's an American football game, so the game happens. This is probably by far the most enjoyable part of this. Is you can pick a random game that means nothing to you, but all of a sudden now it's something you can discuss with your friends. You're talking about it throughout the game, and it just makes the game more enjoyable to watch. And I will say this, only if you don't wager far beyond what you're capable of losing. So we have lost. We won more than we've lost, but we have lost. The last step, and this is important, is regardless of the outcome, the winning feedback photo has to be shared with the viewers. The reason for this, if you read the book and the people who have devoted their lives and research to this, is many of those people feel very strongly that what is actually happening is that we are reaching into the future and seeing the actual correct photo being presented to us as viewers in the future. So there's another video later, we could get into the quantum theories and why that some people believe that. But if you are not shown that photo in the future, the theory would go, there's no way for you to sketch it in the present time because you never actually saw it. So that last step, showing the feedback, is pretty important. So after going over the steps, which are fairly significant, about how an associative remote viewing session runs, I think you can see that there's a lot of administration there. So the first time I read through the book, I really liked the idea. I thought actually there's quite a bit of research that seems to provide evidence that it could be used to make legitimate predictions. But I was a little taken aback, probably not a little, probably a lot taken aback at the actual amount of effort that would go into running an experiment with all the administration of the different roles and activities. And so I started looking around. I was like, hopefully there's a software solution or some other automated type solution that someone's created. And I found a guy, his name is Igor Gergich. He is in Europe. I don't want to tell you exactly where, but you can purchase software from him that's specifically designed to administer associative remote viewing sessions and activities. I will link to his software in this video description. When I bought the software, it was $90. I have well made back that money. And to be honest, I have a lot of recommendations for how the software could be improved. However, this process would not be possible without some type of automation assistance. And I'm going to actually set up a session right now and share my screen, and you will, I think, get a sense for if you don't have something to help you do this, it would be a very daunting task. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and open up the software, and you can watch me set up a session. So it runs on your computer as a thick client. So it actually installs on your machine in your regular C drive programs folder. The user interface looks like this ARV Studio here. The other thing about it is there's no, I was just checking that again, and I have not yet figured out how to maximize the screen to take up the full screen. And I'm actually on my laptop right now. One of the other things is you can only install it on one machine. And so I put it on my laptop because I travel a lot and I needed to potentially take it with me. So this interface, I'm still, like I said, very happy. So you land here, you'll start by creating a new ARV task. So maybe I was calling it session before, he calls it a task. These are the modes that it can run in. He's saying protocols. The main thing to keep in mind here is that you can run this solo by yourself or in a group mode. One thing I will say about doing this solo is that being the person selecting the event, sketching and judging all yourself, I'm a pretty firm believer that through my experience that I think that there's some inherent bias there that is going to be pretty difficult to get rid of if you're doing it solo. Oh, very few of my personal sketches have matched one of the target photos. And I think it's probably because I'm the one selecting the events. And there's some sort of, block or bias there that's coming through. The members in my group that are totally unaware of what the event is. I mean, they know it's an NFL football game here in the States, but they don't know which game or what type of bet I'm going to be putting on it, whether I'm betting the spread or a single team score, combined total score. So they're basically just, hey, Mark wants me to view a photo, and so that's what I'm going to go do. And I think that's the best way to do it. So this is my default standard binary ARV group mode. That's what we've been talking about. Before you get started on this, you do have to go create a new profile for your group. And in that profile, you will set up the names of the group members, their contact method by email, and associate them with a group. And you can have many groups. I'm going to be working with my regular group here. There's 4 of us. I'm the judge and the person selecting the events, and then I do a sketch, and then I have 3 other people also do sketches and submit them. That's important because you'll see when we get to the judging phase on Sunday that there needs to be, my rule is at least 2 people that submit sketches that correspond to a single outcome. And those 2 people need to submit sketches that are significantly better than the other outcome. So sometimes people will provide sketches that match both outcomes. Well, that's no good. I need to match one outcome. I need at least 2 people to match that same outcome. So let's get started with the standard binary group. So first, this is, we'll probably blow past this. This is, I'm sure to people that are, much more learned in this than I am, this is important. But really here, you're just setting up the kind of the metadata behind a session. And so I'm going to use this 8-digit TRN. You'll see it'll generate them here in a minute. And then a very important thing actually is this individual photo target pair for every single viewer. The other option is that the whole group uses the same 2 photos for outcomes A and B. I have found we get better results if every individual viewer gets their own pair of photos. I have no idea why, just that's the way it's been going for us. So I'm going to accept all this and proceed to tasking phase. So right here, this is the first important part. I need to set up the event info. So what event am I going to do? Well, I can tell you that this is the site that we use, that I use technically to select my events from. So this is already set to American NFL football games that have not yet played. So these are upcoming. And I have also set my preference, which is this team totals. So the idea here is I am looking for a team that has a team total score. My personal preference is that that team total score be on the extreme end, extremely low or extremely high. Technically, I think most remote viewing experts would say it shouldn't matter because you're going to see the correct outcome if you do it properly, no matter what. I just like to remove as many variables as possible. I don't want a bet that requires the performance of 2 teams at the same time, like the game total score or a spread or a winner. I just want, hey, one team, how much is that team going to score? As few variables as possible. It's been working fairly well for us. So I'm scrolling down and looking for, like this is interesting, Buffalo Bills, 31.5 points in American football is a lot of points. I may come back to that one. It really shouldn't matter, to be honest. I mean, if I was doing this properly, the Tennessee Titans, Los Angeles Rams game, this Rams score of 30.5 is interesting. Can't help it. I do know American football fairly well, and I look at that and I say, well, Tennessee Titans is not a terrible team. 30.5 points seems like a lot, so I'm kind of already letting my bias into this by saying that I think they might not get 30.5 points, but I can tell you that almost all of our successful sessions have been the opposite of what I expected. So if I expect this outcome of our sessions to say this should be under, it'll probably be over. And I have been betting whatever the outcome is, that's what we bet, and it's been working fairly well. So I am going to take this wager here, which is Los Angeles Rams over or under 30.5 points. So I need to look at the date and time. So November 7th, 7:20 p.m. Come back to the software and start the event info. So the day is November 7th, 7:20 p.m. and it's using a 24-hour clock. Let me just make sure. Yeah, 7:20 p.m. Where I'm in the central time zone, so I'll leave that. These are just descriptions. That stands for NFL single team over under. If you want to get more detail, you can put it here. And here is just the points. So in this case, 30.5. So you're saying that what you're asking of this process is to determine whether this outcome is for the Los Angeles Rams is going to be over or under 30.5 points. That is the event pair. So down here, this full line info, this actually gets stored with the outcome of the event and gets sent to the group as the prediction result. So this needs to be a little bit more detailed. So NFL single team over under Los, and I'll just say Rams 30.5 points. So I'm going to save this, and as soon as I do, it says, hey, there's this wording queue. To be honest with you, I don't use this. I'm not quite sure what the utility of it is. I'm going to leave that. So here's the names of our group. Why it has both names for some people and others not, I don't know. So what's going to happen here is a unique identifier called a TRN is going to be generated for each person for this particular single event. So now those numbers are associated with our names for this predictive event. And now I need to set when I need this information back from my viewing group. When do I need your sketches to be sent back to me so that I can get through the judging phase? So I know November 7th is the day of the game, but it's a late game here, 7:20 p.m. So I'll say you can send it to me on Sunday, November 7th, and I have found that actually it's a little bit stressful on the judging, but the longer you can wait and shrink that time from your sketch to the event start, the better. So I'm going to give these folks up to 6 p.m. on Sunday for a 7:20 p.m. kickoff. And if they get it to me sooner, great. But to be honest, the longer you wait, the little bit better it has been. So this is the date and time that I need them. So I set that. So the software knows this is the date time I need them. It's going to insert that into an automatically generated email. Now, what we're about to do right now starts the real administrative assistance. So I'm going to preview the task email. This is all they're going to see. This is going to arrive in their email. And this is the example for Andrew. Basically, they get the TRN coordinate and ask him to draw a sketch of the feedback photo, which I will show him later, and that is due 6 p.m. Sunday, November 7th. That's it. a randomly generated number, draw a sketch of the photo you're going to see later, and that's all he's going to get, and he will send me a sketch. So I'll close that. That same email will be generated for each person in the group. So if I hit send to all, off it goes. It went out to their emails. So at this point, we're ready to stop. The next part of this process will be after I've received all the sketches, then I will come back into the software and I will pull those sketches up, the images of the sketches. Now I'll compare them to the two photos that have already been selected by the software. The photos are in a folder in my computer. If I wanted to, I could cheat and go look at them, but they're sitting there waiting for these sketches to come back. So we will resume this process when I get my sketches back. Welcome back, everybody. It's Sunday, and we are going to walk through the next phase, which is the judging phase. So everyone in my group that has decided they're going to participate and submit sketches has done so. And we are going to compare those sketches against target photos and see if those sketches have any correspondence to either of the target photos for each person. And then we'll make a judgment on whether there's enough correspondence for us to make a prediction. So we're back into the software. This is what it looks like after the tasking phase was finished, which is what we completed previously. And if I highlight this event, event 10, this is the event that we will be doing the judging phase on. So you highlight it and then hit continue. And we enter into this screen where it says activate judging. So we're going to do that. So these are the 4 participants in this event. I'm going to leave them all checked. I potentially have one more sketch coming in later, but I'm going to go ahead and walk through this now. And if we get enough correspondence in our sketches that we received to these target photos for the people who have submitted, we may not need the 4th person. So let's go ahead and start. Pull up the sketch submitted by the viewer. And in this case, we're going to do my sketch. So I'll pull that up. We'll take a look at it. This is what I drew. It may be a little bit small, but I was envisioning a geometric grid of some sort. That's what this note is. I was seeing the color blue, not sure if that's significant or not. And I just said white square grid on a blue background, potentially. So we'll keep this photo in mind. We'll go back to the software, and under my name, side A, so option A, this will be the photo that represents side A. So we'll look at that. Okay, so this is side A. So not bad. There is a geometric grid in the background on the walls and the shelves themselves. The color is a little off. I mean, I was seeing blue, but this is obviously white or gray. But I'm going to pull up the scale here in a minute. This is not great, but the shape and the overall context of the photo seems to be a decent match. So let's go look at side B to see if there is any resemblance there. So side B, okay, ocean beach scene. So not really, not when comparing it back to this was the original. So there's no match to the beach. The color, you could argue the blue color with the water, but it seems to match the geometric grid on the first photo better. So if you come into the software, this is a scale they give you as a reference. This is the hardest part because this is totally subjective. This is the part where most people will usually say this is, frou-frou nonsense if they're going to, because you can see the highest correspondence is the number 7 and the lowest is 0. Everything in between essentially is a judgment call. And I don't have any way to try and make this more objective or better other than you could potentially have multiple judges in a process. And so if you think about the complexity already of just having multiple viewers if you had multiple judges, it just would significantly increase the complexity. So if we go back to the software and we look at side A, my judgment on this one is that this is probably a 4. So if we take a look at this, there's the several matching elements is the geometric grid intermixed with incorrect information, which would be the color. It's an average hit. It's not great. The correspondence to the ocean would probably be a number 1. Little correspondence, just the color. So side A in this instance would receive a score of a 4. Inside B, the ocean would receive a score of 1. So I'm saying that side A, there's a significantly better correspondence there than side B picture. So you would repeat this process for the other viewers, and I'm not going to show that, but I'm going to go ahead and go through that, and then we'll come back and I'll see if there's enough correspondence here to make a prediction. Okay, I've received all the sketches. I confirmed that with all the members of this group. So I'm going to hop back into the software and we'll continue. So this is where we are at. So 4 people are in this group. 1 person wasn't able to submit a sketch during this round. 3 people were, Andrew, Kyle, and Mark. So those 3 sketches were compared against 2 photos for each of those people. And these are the scores, side A and B for each person. So you can see Kyle's sketch had no correspondence to either of his pictures. That's not uncommon. The one I shared, for me, I scored that a 4 for side A and a very small correspondence to side B. For Andrew, his side A had a 3.5 score and side B 0. Again, these are just my judgments. So now what happens is, if I feel that these correspondence are strong enough, I will say for each person whether I want to select side A or side B. I could pass for each individual. In this case, I'll say side A for Andrew, just because I think it does meet a minimum threshold to say I'm going to make a pick there. For Kyle, I'm going to say a pass. And for myself, I'll say side A. Now, this only means I've chosen a side A or B for each person. I don't know whether side A or side B is has been designated as over or under by the software until I hit the prediction button. So I'm going to do that, hit the prediction. So Andrew and myself both say over. This is difficult because neither one of these are strong correspondence. Although Andrew and I both say over, neither one of our correspondence is very strong with side A. Although these are weak correspondence, 3.5 and a 4, they are both on the over. So this group prediction, I am going to go with the over. And I will note to my group that is viewing with me when I notify them that this is a weak prediction, and they can choose to take action on it if they want. As soon as I send out this prediction, which I'm about to do here, then I will go place the wager on this. There's I would say that this is one of the weaker predictions that we've had, but I'm going to go ahead and place a small wager on it. Otherwise, there isn't much point to do this if you're not going to follow through. So I hit this confirm prediction, and it says you're about to confirm it. Click OK. So I said yes. Then I'm going to send an email through the software to notify the group that this is our prediction. So I can preview this. I'll show you. This is what the email will say to them. I'm going to know we have a group chat. I'm going to notify them separately that although they see this in their inbox as a prediction for over, I'm going to let them know that this is a weak prediction. There's not enough information in here to convey that. So hit OK and say send prediction. And by the way, there is an option in the software. You could click this button and add people's emails in. So you can think about why that might be useful. And then for now, I'm going to close this. And then after the game, whatever the outcome is, over or under our predicted score, I'm going to come back in and I have to close it out by confirming whether it was correct or incorrect, and then send one final email that has the actual correct photo in that email, so that the people that provided the sketches can see what the correct photo was. So for now, we're going to take a break. Okay, the game is over and it was a miss. So we're going to record this, send out the feedback photos, and I'll just give you a quick synopsis of how it's been going for the entire time for this group. So let's jump into the software and we'll send the feedback out. Okay, so this is the screen as it looks after the event is completed. In this case, it's an American NFL football game. Could be any event though. You're going to come here. You need to hit this button called Activate Feedback. And here you're going to tell the software what was the outcome. Remember, we selected the over, but it was the under. So it'll record this as soon as I lock it as a miss. So prepare FB photos stands for feedback photos. This will go and select the photo that's associated with the winning outcome, attach it to an email, and send it to the group that was doing the viewing, so that they will see this was the photo that you should have been trying to view from before the event. So prepare these. You select the people you want to send it to. And remember, Vincent didn't participate, so I won't send him one. I'm not going to, well, I guess I can preview the outcome email. This is an email that shows the actual outcome to the viewing group. It's different. There's a separate email that has the feedback photo, so there'll be 2 emails sent. So we'll close this, send outcome scores, and once I hit complete event, this will be complete. I could hit show statistics if I wanted to, but that's a CSV file that I need to extract the data from and put it in some sort of view. But I preloaded one for us we can take a look at. I'm going to close that. This is our updated statistics here. So far through this current NFL football season, we've had 5 wins, 3 misses, and 2 passes where we chose that we didn't have good enough information to make a prediction. And to be honest, that's probably what I should have done today, but I wanted to try and see if I could have an outcome, positive outcome. So this is what we have so far. This is the outcome email. And this is the feedback email with the photo. So that completes the full cycle from event selection, tasking, viewing, judging, and the final outcome and notification if it was a hit or a miss. So I hope you enjoyed that. I know this is a lot longer than I anticipated. So if you hung in here till the end, I really appreciate it. And I'll try and bring something interesting again next time. Thanks so much.